money on DeFi, mega cash on M.I.M.S. You better run when the runners run. Show you how to get your money up. Dollar inflated like bubble gum. Markets are jumping like double dutch. Buying up gold till I get a ton. Crypto, yeah, I got some. You better run when the runners run. You better run when the runners run.
What's going on, everyone? It is Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. Mercury's in retrograde. Everything's going down. But we are here to rest assured that you want to be getting assets every single day. As always, I got my good brother here, Ricardo Hamilton, a.k.a. M.I.M.S, making it make sense. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, fired up and excited as always. Yeah, the planets is aligning, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I think the 28th, and it's just a lot of things falling in place. And it could throw a lot of people off, but if you stay focused, you realize it's an opportunity to evolve and change. And we want to help people stay in alignment, you know, especially with these markets and everything that's going on, because this is definitely an opportunity. But fired up as always, brother, man. How are you?
Man, this is absolute craziness what is going on. This is the biggest shakeout I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Wall Street, market makers, exchanges are, we already know, we tell you guys this all the time, right? All markets are manipulated. Okay. And I kept seeing this week, M.I.M.S, as people being like, who's selling Bitcoin? Who's selling XRP? Guys, especially in crypto, markets are not real. They're fake. They're created. They're created to get you to react a certain way. I mean, we talk about this with gold and silver. Gold is the biggest asset in the entire world, like 18, 19 trillion dollars. If they can rig that and manipulate that, imagine what they can do with cryptocurrency when we're talking about, you know, altcoins that have, you know, a $1 million market cap or a 1 billion. Guys, it's all a fugazi. The question is, what do you have? What do you hold? What do you have possession of? What real assets do you have when whatever happens? Because they're going to throw the whole kitchen sink at us. So M.I.M.S, you know, your take on this, I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of people in your M.I.M.S U who are struggling to, you know, stay strong right now. So maybe just give us a little pep talk. And then we're going to hear from Cash Patel.
Yeah, I mean, the amazing thing is that people who are properly getting educated, they know the value of certain digital assets, certain blockchains. They know the utility, the use case, and obviously, you know, what we're teaching people is that this is the opportunity. You know, because we understand that these markets, you know, will rebound. We will see, you know, higher highs for these assets, and you know, this is just a time to buy. This is just the ebbs and flows of the market. Unfortunately, most people come from an employee mindset, and then they have to just automatically adjust to an investor mindset, and that generally it takes time, you know, because you have to go through a process of understanding the volatility and, you know, the dynamics and the variables that go into the market, and not be emotionally tied to it. And early on, a lot of people are emotionally tied to, you know, they see their wallet, their portfolio going down, they think they're losing money, not realizing that it's an unrealized loss. It's not really a loss until you actually, you know, sell it, and then you turn it into an actualized loss. But if you hold, then when the market returns, you know, your wallet is, you know, back to where it was, and, you know, and could be in profit as we break out into all-time highs. So, you know, that's why we say, Mike, you know, the most important asset in the blockchain and crypto space is education. If you increase your education, you're reducing your risk and anxiety as you're participating in the blockchain and crypto space.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And I'm not going to try to back this up, but my theory is, as we have talked about, is I think there is a complete change coming in our financial system, and the powers that be want to shake us out of everything. That's why silver is, you know, held down. That's why crypto is being brought down. That's why even though gold's hitting all-time highs, you know, they're trying to move it and get the actual real asset. We'll talk about that tonight. But I think one of the most exciting things that happened in this last week, Ricardo, was Cash Patel getting sworn in and nominated and voted on as the director of the FBI. And I saw you posted this on your X. And I love what he says here, because I think this is the tip of the spear.
I think we got to educate people that the Federal Reserve is not a public government entity. It's a private entity
Will that
owned
end,
by
you think?
the robber barons that started this country, who manipulate the currency to their advantage. And that needs to be tackled. Again, I'm not the economic guru. I just know it's a problem. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the solution is, but it needs to be addressed. So I think we got to educate people that the Federal Reserve is not.
So M.I.M.S, that's huge.
Yeah.
Because this is stuff we've been saying forever, that, and I wish he would have said the Federal Reserve is a private banking cartel, but this used to be stuff we would get banned for saying. And now we have the FBI director, who, again, he admits he's not, a financial guru, but he knows the truth that the Federal Reserve and all these entities, right, that are structured now in the financial markets are fake. They're a fugazi. And I really believe, as you can see, he had the Punisher on. That's his nickname's the Punisher. Justice is coming. The Punisher's coming. And I think they're trying to crash these assets to get as many people to sell before the new, this is more your specialty, but this new economic outlook structure system. Maybe tell people a little bit about that while I pull up the next slide.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, folks, get ready, buckle up, okay? It's gonna be a wild ride. We're gonna see things that people never thought ever in their imagine in their dreams that we're gonna see take place in the government, in the shaking, in the resetting of the whole system. Obviously, him calling out saying the Federal Reserve is a private entity, private, banking cartel. He knows the truth, and now these people are in positions of power. Even with Dan Bongino, deputy secretary, you're saying that, look, they're talking about getting rid of income tax. Okay.
Yep.
So we're seeing where a whole different model, a whole different matrix, a whole different zeitgeist structure, the way the world has operated, the way this country has operated is literally getting changed. Flipping it, I mean, straight up upside down, and it's a great thing to see because the system hasn't worked for the masses of people. I always think back to 08, they had Occupy Wall Street, Tea Party, and things of this nature where the people were actually waking up to the corruption in the financial system and how they were getting screwed. And if we had, the type of administration we had then during that time, oh wow, we'd be in a totally different world already today, totally different reality. But yeah, folks, the Federal Reserve is a private bank cartel. They've never been audited. Okay. Their product is the Federal Reserve note, which is debt. The more of the debt they create, the less value the debt in circulation, which is the money that, what we call money. And so this is, what a time to be alive, man. Like you said, we never thought we would see this day. This is like conspiracy theory stuff, but we have a government, an administration now who is saying the same things that we know was true, and they're actually going to implement some action and change that. So it's a good thing to see.
Yeah, and again, guys, the thing that, again, if you're into crypto, you're probably hearing like the bull run's over, alt season's canceled, sell everything, go away. Again, I think this is the biggest shakeout. Let's think about this. Public companies just scooped up 20,569 Bitcoin last week alone. Their total holdings now are at 762,000 Bitcoin. They're stacking heavy and you're still scared. So that's the thing, guys. We're talking about MicroStrategy, Marathon Digital, Riot, Tesla, Coinbase, Block Square, Galaxy Digital. I mean, we could just keep going down here. Do you think something that these top 70 companies that are buying Bitcoin don't know? Do you think they're the idiots who are buying the top right now? I don't think so. Trump's World Liberty keeps buying massive amounts of Ethereum, even though it keeps going down. They know something we don't know. I'm not going to pretend like we know more than these companies who are worth billions, if not almost trillions of dollars. Now, the other thing, again, guys, we deal with all assets here. So this is something we have got to watch with Andy Schectman, because again, The rehypothecation in the gold market means the same asset gets sold multiple times, creating major risk. On the COMEX and the LBMA, which is where gold and silver is traded, most contracts never stand for delivery. But what happens if they do? Some silver contracts are rehypothecated 2,000%. And that word rehypothecation basically means fake. That means for every 1 ounce of silver, right? For every one of these, there's 2,000 of them that are fake. So there's one real one, but 2,000 people are saying, I own this, I own this, I own this, I own this 2,000 times. That's how fake and rigged and manipulated this system is. So let's listen to Andy Schekman. And again, guys, we're just talking about assets here and trying to get you the education, understand if you don't hold it, you don't own it, not your keys, not your crypto. M.I.M.S, let me make sure, let me know with the thumbs up if you can hear this.
So I guess the main buzzword around gold right now is the rehypothecation. I'd like to talk about that and get your take on it. And what does this actually mean? Let's dumb it down to where it's real, just simple and easy to understand. And what might happen, or what will happen after this thing really gets into full swing.
Rehypothecation is a way for, in this case, the commercial banks to lend or to sell, rather, a specific contract that each person who holds that contract believes that they're the only one who owns it, but they sell it over and over and over and over and over again repetitively to different people. Because the thing of it is that in this case, most of the contracts that have my whole career been issued on the COMEX exchange, as an example, or on the LBMA, never stood for delivery. And so if everything cash settles and you're a bank with unlimited resources, the ability to cash settle if you need to really isn't much of a problem. But if you have to deliver against these naked contracts, which have been rehypothecated, you have a problem. In other words, they have, let's say, silver, each contract is rehypothecated 2,000%. That means 20 people hold the same 5,000 ounce contract. And if 5 of them say, well, I want to stand for delivery, there's a problem. What if all 20 say, I want to stand for delivery? There's a very big problem. So rehypothecation is the act of selling the same asset over and over and over again.
So just in case you guys, because this is huge, man. Like, people have to understand this. What he's saying is dollars are infinite. You can create dollars out of thin air, and they do every single day. So if somebody says, oh, I want $10 million, yeah, print that right to them. But if they say I want 10,000 ounces of silver, now that's a problem, because there's scarcity and actual real physical properties to silver that you can't just print out of thin air. And so that's what we're seeing with gold and silver right now. People want delivery because they want the real asset, not the fake paper. Anything you want to add to really make this make sense so people understand how huge this is?
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at, what's going on as far as even what, the previous slide talked about what corporations buying Bitcoin. I want you to understand something. Put everything against the dollar. Understand that there is a fiat currency crisis going on right now. There is a loss in confidence in the United States dollar. Everything looks better than holding the dollar. Okay. It's losing value. It's losing status. It's losing credibility. It's not a unit of wealth. Okay. Inflation is going to continue to grow out of control. So yes, entities, people, businesses, hold on to digital assets, get physical silver and gold. And when, in regards to the hypothecation of these assets, folks, we're going to see a crisis like never seen before. Okay. There are real ramifications on the other side of the massive rigging and fraud and manipulation, hypothecation, naked short sellings, and everything that's been going on for decades. Okay, for decades, this has been going on. The rigging, manipulation, hypothecation of these assets. It's hard to even. There's no real price discovery for assets right now. Nobody
Right.
knows the price of anything. They've been doing so much rigging, so much manipulation, so much fraud, just printing money. There's no real, they say, well, what is the actual value of gold or silver? There is no real answer right now, honestly.
Yep.
That's how bad it is. That's why it's so important that you have physical silver and gold, not contracts, not ETFs, not a paper certificate. This is why it's so important that you hold your digital assets. I mean, we just had an exchange get hacked, recently, but this is why we say not your keys, not your crypto. Get your digital assets off these centralized exchanges. It's important that you hold on to real money and real assets right now, because there's going to be a shakeup in this reset, in this global financial system. And it's like, you don't want to be, without a chair. Okay. You don't want to be without real money and assets, as this house of cards and musical chairs comes to an end.
And I found a great picture of one of our old school Exeter's pyramid. I finally got one from Chris on Twitter. Guys, this is the value of everything in the world. You have derivatives, which are basically what they were talking about. Derivatives are just fake. Fugazi. Okay. And this is what most of the banksters, Wall Street do, is they take one real thing, like they were just talking about. They'll take one 100 ounce bar, and they'll make 2,000 fake copies of it. And then 2,000 people think they own this, but there's only one of them. But that's how they get to a quadrillion. Then you had the private business and real estate. Okay, there's value in real estate and businesses. That's kind of real. Then you have bonds and listed stocks, which again are just propped up and manipulated. Same thing with government bonds. Then you have the bank money. That's the actual cash that we see, which is very little, all right, of actual even dollars that are worthless. They just create that out of thin air to give you loans, and then they charge you interest. Then you have the base money. But at the very, very tippy bottom, what do we have, M.I.M.S? We have the actual real assets of value that everyone is scrambling for now, because they realize the jig is up, the game is over. It's gold at 2.4 trillion and silver at 0.17. I mean, this is what real money is. Everything else is fake. Everything else is a fugazi. Obviously, cryptocurrency is still minuscule compared to this. But I know this is one of your favorite, pictures here. So I'll just let you cook here, bro.
Yeah, shout out to Chris Dwayne, Silver Bullet, Silver Shield. His whole series really woke me up after the 2008 financial crisis. Hours and hours upon content, just breaking down this whole system, okay, the monetary system and everything. The greatest secret
Lie ever told.
the greatest lie ever told. Hours and hours. I mean, it's transformative. It would change your whole view. But this is a powerful image, because when you understand, when he talks about this image of Exeter's pyramid, he talks about the collapse, of the house of cards, the collapse of the digital illusions of wealth, the paper debt-based fiat monetary system. And he says that as things get reevaluated to the real. So we've been living in the fake. We've been living in this twilight, like this is, it's the fake, world. It's, Twilight Zone. Like he's saying now, obviously, when we go back to the real, which is the real money, gold and silver, which is God's money, mentioned from Genesis to Revelations, which has been money since the times of Egypt. Okay, money for thousands of years. It's money all over the world: Africa, Asia, Europe, the Americas. It's constitutional money, real money here in the United States. Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution. About 12 states in the U.S. where you can spend gold and silver the same way you spend cash. And then, obviously, the most undervalued asset, physical asset as well. But I mean, when you look at silver being antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, these principles and components make these assets, just massively undervalued when you realize that as this system collapses, as there's a risk-off environment, people are going to want real money. They're going to want real assets, and the real is physical silver and gold. You know, what are things going to be valued in? Real money. That's how it's always been. You know, the dollar would have never had the world reserve currency status had it not been backed by gold. The world would not accept the dollar. You know, and the world today wouldn't really use the dollar if it wasn't for, you know, our military and some other things, right? Taking out certain leaders in other countries and things of that nature that tried to get off the dollar, right? Because they realized the dollar, you know, created an unfair advantage because it wasn't backed by anything. They just print money up, create inflation, you know, and export the inflation overseas. You know, so the world is done, folks. It's over. People really have to see where this is going, and why it's so important that you have real money, you know, real skills, real education, real assets. This is the time. But that's why we're seeing gold at all-time highs. And folks, anytime you see gold at all-time highs like this, and the movement of gold as well, you know, that is a sign that there's trouble in the economy. Either with the financial system or there's war coming. You know, gold is an indicator like that. That's what it is. It's a hedge against financial crisis and inflation, but it's also an indicator of what's coming around the corner. Okay. So be prepared and you know, have these assets and continue to stay plugged in.
Amen. Shout out to Eric Garrison, one of our founders. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Shout out to Melissa, old school runner. Glad you're still here and stacking real assets. All right, guys. I don't know if you saw this, M.I.M.S. You probably did. I think I sent it to you. Okay. But again, it's not just London. A new Swiss record of gold being shipped to the USA last month. Who is the buyer if it's not all going to the COMEX? So, I mean, you guys, you can see here. Look at that. Why is all this gold moving from Switzerland to the United States? Now, this is what I want you guys to see. Tucker Carlson. This just happened this week. Did you watch this whole thing yet, M.I.M.S? I haven't. I watched like the first hour.
No, I haven't.
All right. Get ready for your mind to be blown. Tucker Carlson, guys, in my opinion, one of the top 3 journalists right now. More gold is being shipped quietly between countries right now than at any time in history. Why? Because we're getting a new global financial system. So we're only going to watch like the first 3 minutes of this, but it goes hard. And this is the Great Awakening, bro. Like, this is exactly what we've been saying for like 5 or 6 years right here.
So it's amazing to me to watch countries spending, a bunch of countries spending so much effort, money on gold at a moment where technology dominates the conversation and crypto and AI are the future, and gold is the oldest and most primitive medium of exchange. I mean, cultures have been using gold around the world, every culture around the world, for at least 6,000 years as a store of value, and they still are. Why?
Because it's worked.
Because it's worked. You can't say much more true words than that.
Yeah. Hundreds, not thousands of different currencies all collapsed, especially fiat. Gold and silver still here.
It is when things get spicy. Gold has a 6,000-year track record, and I think store of value, your point, store of value, is really critical, right? Because currency has medium exchange, unit of account, store of value. Those are the 3 functions of money, and we have moved on from gold as a unit of account. Our bank accounts aren't denominated in gold. We've moved on from gold. I'm not walking around with gold coins in my pocket,
unfortunately.
But it has always retained that store of value component of money, and critically at the highest levels of finance. The global central banks who are running our currency and monetary system, as much as we have moved away from gold and those other functions, as much as we've moved to fiat currency, as much as technology's developed, as much as our economies have developed, they have always continued to hold their gold. And in the last 10, 11 years, I think one of the big origin stories of macroeconomics as they have developed over the past 10 years has been the fact that global central banks on net in 2014 stopped growing their holdings of treasury bonds. So global central banks have not bought a treasury bond on net. In fact, they've sold about $300 billion worth
U.S. Treasuries.
U.S. Treasuries since 2014 in their, they're called FX reserves, which is basically their piggy bank. And they've bought about $600 billion worth of gold.
That doesn't, that doesn't make any sense at all. In an era of biotech and nanotechnology and AI and, everything is abstract and digital, everything is technology. Why would gold, which doesn't have great inherent value, what is gold actually worth? You can't eat it, you can't heat your house with it. Why the stranglehold on human beings from gold? And why did it emerge in these separate cultures, and we know from the archaeological record, on separate continents, had no contact with each other? At roughly the same time, they all decided that gold was the most valuable thing. What is that? There is a mystery at the heart of gold, no?
Yeah, I think it ultimately evolved to that because it isn't used for anything, right? So there's something called stock to flow in commodities, if you analyze commodities. And stock to flow is just what is the stock of inventory.
The most enduring store of value because you can't eat it or heat your house with it. And you're saying that's why it's the most enduring.
It's precisely why. It's easily divisible, right? So even in old days, using old technology, thousands of years ago, you could divide into very small amounts. It doesn't rust, and so there were obviously in the old days, in particular, very practical applications. You store a bunch of your wealth in wheat, and it gets mold, and it's all gone, right? You store oil, you have a spill, it's all gone. The gold, it's much more portable, it's visible, malleable, it doesn't rust. So there's, I think, some practical things, but I think ultimately it's the most money-like thing with those physical aspects.
And has always been for all recorded history. I do think there's something at the core there that I don't understand, but it's just demonstrable. It's just true.
It's true.
So, and it endures even in this hyper-technical age.
So again, this is a great. I would tell you guys.
I would say
this is probably a 90-minute podcast. I would urge you all go and watch that Tucker Carlson interview. It's very enlightening, even for people like us who understand these assets. M.I.M.S, just from the little bit you heard there, to me, when he said it's just demonstrably true. No matter what's going on in the world, famine, wars, craziness, 8,000 years ago, gold has been money.
Yeah.
And that's why we love gold and silver and cryptocurrency. You need both. I don't know how you're going to try to survive the next few years without both of them. But M.I.M.S, anything you want to add of just what you got of there from Tucker and his guests?
Look, I said earlier, gold and silver is God's money. Okay, it's all over the world. It's always been money, always will be money. Okay, and he talked about how it's generally stored. Well, understand something. Silver is not generally stored. Silver is used. It's trashed. I mean, they treat it so bad, and there's not a lot of it, and it's needed. In industry and military, thousands of applications. I mean, solar panels, massive demand, solid state batteries. You name it. There's just so many applications, and photography and so much. And so silver, massively undervalued, the most undervalued physical asset on the planet, silver. And then of course, gold. But it's, what your Tucker's saying is that, people don't even understand, what we're saying and what they're saying. Like if the masses of people just don't really understand the role of money throughout society. They don't understand the history of money. There have been hundreds, and I do mean over 800 different fiat currencies throughout history, and they've all went to zero. They've all collapsed. People have heard about the tulip bubble, the tally stick. There's been all these different type of systems to facilitate the exchange of human activity and to represent the stored up value of human activity. And it's been gold and silver throughout history that has been that perfect medium of exchange. It's up until the Federal Reserve came, right, and got us into this fiat currency, and took the dollar off the gold standard in 1971. But that's coming to an end. We've been in this fake, and we're coming back to real. And so when it's all said and done, you want to make sure that you have some real money. You just want to make sure you have some real money, because the dollar is not real money. Okay. And the world is running away from dollars right now. The dollar is losing value. And that's why they're buying digital assets, and they're moving physical silver and gold, and they're preparing. Okay. They're preparing. And so, if you ask me, we in biblical times, and we talking about peace. But as soon as they say there's peace, who knows? We might be at war. And when you see people moving gold, they're moving gold for safekeeping. Okay. So, hey, yeah, we'll move it in Fort Knox, and you already know they do hypothecation. So, sure, we'll move all our gold to Fort Knox. It helps store your Fort Knox, and they got a contract saying that some of the gold is still there, but it's held physically. Nobody knows. Who knows? What kind of arrangements they have on the back end. But you have to prepare. You just have to prepare, and you have to have real money. Get it now, especially silver, while you still can. $30 an ounce is insane. The massive inflation we've had since COVID and everything else. I mean, everything else has risen in value. Massive inflation everywhere, and silver is still at $30 an ounce. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And it's like this love-hate relationship with gold, right? Because it's like the guy literally said, well, gold doesn't do anything. So we just use it to measure our wealth. So I'm not hating on gold, but at the same time, we know most of our community is way more of a big believer in silver because of its uses. I've held gold and silver in my hands at the same time, and I just feel something with silver, not with gold. But either way, we're winning. Okay, so I know you guys are all freaking out about crypto because you don't understand the long-term value here. And the reason why, M.I.M.S, is most people are not buying quality projects, right? Most people are buying shit coins, meme coins, pump and dumps. They're trying to get into a project in the first 10 minutes and then sell it at 15 minutes. And again, we have to step back in this cryptocurrency space and change what we're doing and say, where is the utility? Where is the real use case? And we've been talking about this for a long time, is it has got to be real world assets. We have to connect the blockchain to real world assets. Because if you're just hoping that more people come in and buy your token so that you can make money, that's not going to work out long term. You need to connect to real world assets. So M.I.M.S, I'm going to pull up a slide here. But again, as we close out tonight, it's know what you hold, right? Be buying quality assets. You're into the ISO and XRP and XLM stuff, which again has connections to banking and real world infrastructure. And then we're going to also talk about how we're getting nodes that pay us daily in digital rewards that are tied to real world assets. So as I pull that up, I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, I mean, folks, you have to understand that the whole world is shifting, and then there's an opportunity in that shift. And so we want to capitalize on the shift. We don't want to be a victim to the shift. Unfortunately, a lot of people are going to be a victim to the shift. They're going to get wiped out. They don't have assets. They're going to be, relying on somebody, the government, hoping that they come save them. And it's not going to be their world. They're going to be living in somebody else's world, right? But if you capitalize on the opportunity right now, get the right education, follow the right people, acquire the right assets, you're going to be able to do something that you probably couldn't even have imagined that you're going to be able to do for generations to come. So when you're looking at this space and you're acquiring these assets that are undervalued right now, okay, because that flick the switch moment hasn't even happened. The massive amount of money isn't moving on chain yet. We haven't seen anything in regards to price action in gold and silver, quite frankly, even though gold is at all-time highs. And so there are certain blockchains, there are certain projects that are going to be facilitating the transactions by banks and governments and institutions. And that's the utility. That's what gives value to the asset. If nobody's using the blockchain, if nobody's using that coin, it has no value. So now, well, what are those blockchains? What is that coin that has to be used to facilitate payments? That has to be used for settlement? That's being used for, in the real world. So that's what we look at. We're looking at these projects that the banks are these blockchains that the banks are partnered with, and they're using, the governments and the institutions and, businesses. What are those blockchains that they're going to be using? What are those coins? They're massively undervalued right now. And I always get excited when I talk about SHX, which is Stronghold, because they're Notch's preferred partner for blockchain. And Notch, which deals with ACH, is tied to every US bank account. And Notch does $80 trillion a year in transactions. And their preferred blockchain partner is Stronghold. And that's a penny right now. So I get excited when I realize that even if they do 1% of Notch's 80 trillion, that coin goes from a penny to $8. So to me, that's mine. This is what we're talking about. These blockchains, these projects, these ecosystems that are going to be facilitating that transfer of money and data and value and information, and then capitalizing early on. So that's why we don't really care about the markets going down. We see it as a buying opportunity because we're educated, acquiring the right assets. These ISO tokens, like Mike talked about, that are going to be, some of them are even going to be tax-free here in the U.S. is what Trump is talking about. XRP, some other blockchain, American-based blockchain, tax-free. What do you think that's going to do? Where are people going to move their money into? Tax-free coins, right? Well, there's an ISO projects, right? So this is the time to just get in, and I think a little is even going to go a long way. Don't think you have to have. I'm telling you, once everything is really moving on chain to trillions of dollars, quadrillions of, less than 7% of people in the world are in blockchain and crypto. When the unbanked are now on the blockchain doing more transactions, more buying up these assets.
Massive, man.
Massive. Yeah.
So it's a huge shift. And so what we're focusing on are regulatory and compliance and utility, right? Is there an audit of this blockchain? Is it used? Does it have full transparency? Are there asset statements and P&L reports? This is where we need to go as a community in blockchain, in cryptocurrency. If this is where you are at and you want to learn more, we have got to get past these stupid meme coins. I swear to God, it just wanted to scream every time I saw people getting into crypto. And even if it was the Trump coin, whatever, if you want to buy $100 of Trump, cool. But guys, it's time to move past this hype, speculation, and hope and into real utility. That's what we're focused on. Something that is fully transparent, has the audits, and we know what's going on. So we are, partnered with one of the best American blockchain crypto companies that we are just coming out on March 29th and having our token generation event. And we're trying to let as many people know so that you are there on day one mining the Genesis token that is actually facilitating the transfer of wealth from the real world to the blockchain. Because that is the big shakeout. That is why BlackRock and Citadel and Wall Street is trying to shake you out, because they know what's coming. They know that every real world asset is going to be tokenized and on the blockchain. No matter which blockchain it's on, they don't want you owning it. They want to own it all. That's why they're trying to get you to sell. That's why they're dumping the price. So, M.I.M.S, that is all I wanted to share tonight. And again, if you guys want to get paid daily by doing nothing, if you guys have never owned a node, then you don't even understand what that feels like to know you can just log in and see, oh, I got more. Oh, I got more. And now it's backed by real world assets like real estate and income producing businesses. Nothing like this has ever been done. So that's what we're excited about. That's what we're excited about, telling people and getting real utility in this space versus this hype, hope, and meme coin crap that needs to stop. Guys, buy quality assets and know what you hold. M.I.M.S, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, if you just want to, be on the next level of blockchain and crypto, a flex, in my opinion, is like saying I own a node. okay, or I have some servers, or I'm mining. And so what we have is the opportunity for you to be in early on a revolutionary layer 1 blockchain that's tokenizing real world assets and securities, and those real world assets and security have to be registered with the SEC. The only blockchain that requires them to do that. And so that the software node that you have the ability to get is leveraging that. Those coins are benefiting from the platform. And it definitely is a benefit to be early to this space, because the longer you wait, it's just the opportunity cost. These assets increase in value, you're going to pay more. You want to get in early and get them at the lowest price possible. So this is definitely the time. Stay plugged in. Get these assets early on, and watch how your life changes. We benefited from nodes, and unfortunately, a lot of people right now, most people, they just buying crypto. They don't even know that they can, uh, you know, get rewarded
Right.
every single day in digital
One-time
assets.
purchase, get paid every day. What
Yeah.
do you want to do?
Get rewarded every single day in digital assets. That's the name of the game. And if you can find a way where you are rewarded every single day for the rest of your life in digital assets because you own software, you're winning. Especially if the digital asset is producing a digital asset, which is the coin, and that coin is benefiting and leveraging from real world assets.
Ooh, I love it when you
Okay.
talk like that.
So this is the time, folks. Tap in, lace up, let's get wealthy.
Hey, that's why it's assets over liabilities, guys. Get as many assets as you can in your own possession. This is the biggest shakeout that has ever been. Do not miss your ticket to the greatest wealth transfer in human history. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for coming on. Like, subscribe, share this out, tag a few friends. We love you guys.